Great. Okay. So welcome everyone to what we're calling Season 2 of HSE Webex Enablement. We ran a series of these sessions back in March, so you might have been part of that as well. As WebEx has been decided as the professional tool, we're now going to run a new set of sessions just to make sure you're up to date on how to use the WebEx tool. If you've just joined, then the top tips to know are please stay on mute. Your microphone will be red if muted, and follow these guidelines which we've just mentioned as well. If you want to ask a question, please use the chat function on the right hand side of the screen. If you're looking for any more settings today, please look at the buttons at the bottom of your screen. Next to your mute button, you'll have an arrow to adjust your audio settings, and that might be handy for you if you're having some audio issues. So if you've not used WebEx before, if you're completely new, then welcome. WebEx is a secure and professional video conferencing solution which is designed for enterprises and business organisations. We don't tend to play in the consumer space, so if you've been doing lockdown quiz or virtual happy hour, that kind of thing over the last few months, the likelihood is that it didn't take place on WebEx. WebEx is mainly used by organisations and businesses. It is, however, extremely secure, and that's what I'm going to show you today and how simple it is to use as well. So WebEx, we refer to it being this video conferencing experience which we're using today. Just for your information, it's also a messaging application, and we do have a wider portfolio of phones and video devices and headsets and applications as well. But today we are just going to focus on the video conferencing portion of the meeting, which everyone is using this application today. So if you've not set up your account yet, you should wait until your IT administrator invites you to join WebEx. You will then get an email to your professional account and you should click Activate. Once you click Activate, you'll be taken into the browser where you can set a secure password and set up your account. This should be pretty easy, and many of you may have already done this. Now, once you go onto webex.com, I think your URL will be hse.webex.com. It will prompt you to download the desktop application to your computer. What we're asking is that you ignore this and only download from the official HSE section. Elaine, do you want to speak any more about this? About where they should download the app from?
Yes, thank you. So with because a lot of the machines in the HSE are locked down for security purposes, we have wrapped our own version of we've downloaded it for you basically and wrapped it with admin rights in advance, so anybody that hasn't done it can get the app from the page that I am posting into the chat right now. So the download is there that will allow you to download both the app and the productivity tools with admin rights already applied.
Super. So however you've downloaded that app, either way, one thing that you might want to bookmark is hse.webex.com. This is where you'll find lots of details about your account, setting your preferences and setting up your meetings. So please bookmark hse.webex.com, and when you go there, click sign in. Once you've signed in, you'll be taken to your personal homepage, which you can see is just for you. You'll have some information on the left-hand side there. You can see it says meetings and preferences. Preferences is where you should change your profile picture. You can update your time zone and preferred time zone and phone numbers for your account. And in meetings is where you can schedule meetings. Now this is one way to schedule meetings, but I will also show you another way in which you'll use your calendar to schedule meetings. Once you've clicked on meetings, you'll be taken to this casual calendar of meetings you can see here. If it says start, it's because you are the host of the meeting and you have the power to initiate this. If it says join, it's because you are invited, you are an attendee, and you don't have the power to initiate this, you can only join this meeting. So that's a slight difference there. But in order to start populating this calendar, click on schedule where you can set up a meeting. As I say, this is one way of doing it, and I will show you another way. Everything here is labelled, so it's pretty clear what you need to be doing. Type in a topic for your meeting, you can generate a secure password, change the date, time zone, decide whether you want this to be a recurring series or just a one-off. You'll notice that I have a box for attendees where I can invite people using their email address to attend my meeting. What I would say is, unless it's a very small meeting and you know everyone's email address off the top of your head, probably best to leave that blank and then wait for the invitation to come through and then forward it on as an email. Just because if you have a large meeting, what you'll have to do is put everyone's email address in that box there, and it might be quite time consuming. So best practice would be to leave that blank and then forward it on as an email in a later moment, and I will show you that. Definitely while you're scheduling here, take a look at the advanced options, and just remember, once you're comfortable scheduling a meeting like this, you can save templates so it's quicker the next time you want to do something. Under the advanced options, you'll see some audio connection options. One I recommend you leave ticked is the display global call-in number to attendees. It's a bit of a mouthful. If you leave that ticked, then your email invitations will automatically populate with a phone number, and you can choose this phone number. You can choose it for Ireland. It will automatically populate with that local number, so it gives people a second option to access your meeting. For example, if they don't have internet, they don't have a computer, or maybe they just don't have a great internet connection, then they have this phone number that they can call in at a local rate from their mobile phone. So if they have included minutes, sometimes we have 200 minutes or included minutes in our phone packages, it's not going to cost them anything extra to access the audio of your meeting. So to make your meetings accessible, please leave that ticked. At the bottom, you will see we have the options to automatically start a recording of our meeting. That's handy to know if we need to record training or these are meetings that we need to record for compliance. And then the second option below there is excluding the password. On today's invitation, you noticed that there was a link and there was also a meeting password, and that was all provided together in one. That means that anyone that got hold of my invitation for this meeting already had the link and the password to get into the meeting. As an extra layer of security, if we're not sure who we're sending these invites out to, we might want to consider leaving the password out of that email, sending the meeting link, and then providing the password separately. That's just going to be up to you and personal preference how you want to do it. Decide on a case-by-case basis what works for your meetings. But if you would like that option, then you should tick that box here. Okay, I'll just remind you that we're going to probably run for about half an hour before we take questions, so please put your questions in the box on the right-hand side. A few more options at the bottom of this page, especially the attendee privileges. I would take a look at those if I were you. And these are the rights and privileges we're going to grant to the attendees that are joining our meeting. So things like them being able to use the chat function, them being able to talk to each other one-on-one, or perhaps we turn that off so they can only say things publicly. This is all up to you, and you can control that here or inside the meeting. So you'll notice I can turn the chat on and off completely, or I can prevent people from having one-on-one conversations. Again, it depends on the nature of your meeting, because if we know everyone, everyone's in our organisation, we probably trust them, and we don't mind them having conversations with each other. But if I'm meeting with members of the public or there are children in my meeting, then I probably want to turn that off just so that nothing can be said behind my back. So you'll find all those extra controls there. Once you're happy with this, you can click Save at the bottom, and your meeting will automatically populate on your calendar here, and then you can click Start at the start time of that meeting. Once you've clicked Save, you'll also receive an email to you. So you'll receive two emails actually. One which is for you with the hosting information on that you can launch as the host of the meeting. And the second invitation, or the second email, is the invitation which you should forward on to your attendees. So you remember I said leave the attendee field blank. That's because once you get sent this email, you can refer to your recent contacts and the contact list that's already in your calendar to to send out the invitation. So you don't have to type in everyone's email. You probably have a contact list that you can send your invite to. So once you get this, it's titled Forward to Others, and that's exactly what you can do. Click forward, then make some edits in the meeting, probably change the title so it's very relevant so people understand what they're being invited to. You can put in some text, dear all, please join this meeting, here is the agenda, many thanks. Add your signature if you need to, and you'll notice there, included is a calendar attachment for your meeting. So it's really easy for everyone to receive this email, save down the calendar attachment, and then it'll be on their calendar with their other meetings. When it's time to join your meeting, they'll be able to, and it's really accessible. So I know the text might be quite small for you to see. If you look on the left-hand side of your screen, next to my slide, you will see a zoom in and zoom out button. You can zoom in now. You should be able to zoom in to get a better picture of what I'm showing you on this screenshot. I apologise if you can't see it. I understand it might be small text. You'll see that Join Meeting is in big green letters. This will be the quickest way for your attendees to access their meeting. And then you can see just below that there's some blue text which says Join by Phone, and there are 2 phone numbers there. UK number because I'm based in Manchester, and then an Irish number because I work with a lot of customers in Ireland. You can enable this number to be Ireland there automatically. You don't have to have a second number. And that will be that local number that people can use to call into your meetings. So if they do have any internet issues, maybe they don't have a computer, they have that option to get into your meeting with the phone. Great. So just to recap, there's a couple of ways to join the meeting. They can either click in from the email, or they can use the meeting number, which is provided in the email, and they can type that in at webex.com. So they're the 2 ways for your attendees to get into your meetings. And this is using any browser. They can also download the application for smartphones and tablets and then do the same there, either click through from the email or typing the meeting number and password. It's important to know that your attendees do not need accounts with WebEx to be able to join. They can join as guests as long as they have your meeting number and your password or the link. They can join. They'll be asked for their name and their email address, but they won't be sent anything afterwards. They're not going to be sent a follow-up from WebEx saying, please make an account or you need to set a password. Nothing like that will happen. They are purely joining as a guest, and the name and email is just for identification for your organisation. Okay, so we've just seen one way of setting up a meeting. If you have Outlook, and you've downloaded the desktop app, as Elaine mentioned, you'll also be able to download this application called WebEx Productivity Tools, which is really helpful, and it links our WebEx desktop app with our Outlook calendar. And that means that instead of going into the browser and setting up all those meetings, scheduling, typing in everything, we can actually do it from directly inside our Outlook. So once that's in there, and you go and click make an appointment or create a new calendar meeting, you'll find WebEx is on the right-hand side. You can add in a WebEx meeting, either a WebEx meeting or a personal room, and I'll explain the difference between those 2 in a minute. I suggest you use a WebEx meeting, and what that will do is populate your email, your appointment, with all the details automatically. You see that there. And then you can rely on inviting your recent contacts or the contact list that you already have inside your email. So that is the second way to send out a WebEx invitation. Now, the desktop app, once you have this, again, it's simple. You should log in with your hse.webex.com and your email address. This is what your homepage will look like. It's very simple. Quick tour here. You have a link below your name, which is called your personal room, and this is a permanent link associated with your account. So only share this with people that you trust, because there's no password on this, so anyone with this link could have access to your meetings, which is why we normally want to schedule a specific meeting for a specific purpose and not always use our personal room. Our personal room is like an office, so anyone can come and knock on the door. What you might want to do is set up a separate meeting room. So that's your link there, always follows the same format. and then you can start that meeting pretty easily using the big green button, which is the theme in WebEx. And then also you have the little square icon, which is to copy that if you wanted to send it on a chat message or something like that. Now, you might be asking, what's the difference and what meeting do I really need? Most likely, with the cases that you'll be dealing with, you probably want a scheduled meeting. So I have the ways that I've shown you today, using the tool online or adding a WebEx into your Outlook will provide you with a scheduled meeting. And that is a unique link and a unique password specific to that meeting or that series of meetings. The personal room will always be the same link, and it's not got a password. So, as I say, just be careful which one you want to share. Most likely you'll be using a scheduled meeting, but by all means do try them both and just see the difference there. The best way to put it is one is your personal office and the other is a meeting room which you're going to book. So everything I'm going to show you from here on in is going to be referring to my version of WebEx, which is running on my Mac computer, and it's version 40.9. So there may be some differences in what you see here and what you see on your own computer if you're using a different version or a different type of computer. Either way, you should be, this should just serve as a guide, and you can find all relevant information at help.webex.com. So once we've set up our meeting, which is what we've been looking at so far, we'll come to beginning our meeting. Remember, the buttons are start or join, always the big green button. And the first thing that happens is you get launched with a preview, which you'll have seen today. You can preview your video, you can change your virtual background, blur your background, change your audio settings. This is a moment of planning where you can plug in your audio, change your webcam, and just check that there's nothing in the background that perhaps you wouldn't want other people in the meeting to see. At this point, you can also change your audio connection. So if you're having a bad day with your broadband, you can leave the video on your computer and take the audio offline onto your phone network. Now I will go over that, but just so you know, you get this preview and you can sort out your background before you enter the meeting. Now, audio connection. If you are having a bad broadband day, which we all have, especially in this work from home and the pandemic, then you are welcome to get a dial-in number for the meeting, and it's exactly what I explained before. You'll be able to get a number which is local, regional to Ireland, so it won't cost you any extra to call in from your mobile phone if you have minutes included in your plan. To do that, you would just click call in, and then you would go and click the Ireland number. You would get the access to that number and be able to dial into the meeting. So it's really handy. If you're looking for that today, you'll find it next to the mute button. There's a little arrow, and if you click switch audio, you'll also be presented with these options. So you should see all these controls today. Maybe you'll see the attendee version, because only the host has the power to record the meeting, for example. But you can control your audio here, your video, and the arrows next to them are going to give you more options. You can share content like your screen, a whiteboard. If you're the host, you can record the meeting, and then under more options, you can do things like connect to a video device, which is what I'm doing today. You can lock your meeting, or you can invite anyone if someone hasn't joined and you need to invite them last minute. Okay. Would you mind just staying on mute, everyone? If your microphone is muted, it should be in red, and that's just because anything that you say, if you're unmuted, everyone else can hear in the meeting. So best practice, please stay on mute. Thank you. Great. So I know I might be going a bit fast. So there are our first panel of controls, and then we also have a second set of controls, which we can find at the top of our toolbar. So where we have file, share, that kind of thing, you'll also find more controls. If you click on participant, you can mute everyone, you can unmute everyone, and you'll also find the option to mute people on entry. This is really highly recommended from my experience, because when we're joining a meeting, sometimes we're fumbling around, plugging our headphones in, and there might be a bit of audio interference if we join and we're unmuted. So best practice, mute everyone automatically on entry, and you won't have that level of disturbance. Another control I'll bring your attention to here is anyone can share, and you'll see there it's ticked, and that means that in today's meeting, for example, if you would like to share your content, you can click the share button and if I grant you permission, you can share some content. So I might ask Elaine to share something, for example. Now, I want you to be reassured that you are in full control of your meetings as a host. So please turn that off if you want to. And that means that no one else can share any content in the meeting, only you or someone you assign to be the presenter. At any point, if there is someone being disruptive in our meeting, we have a few options. We can mute them, we can stop their video, we can chat to them one-on-one, ask them to stop being disruptive, and then if worse comes to worse, we can move them to the lobby, which is a temporary measure where you can bring them back in. You might want to give them time out, bring them back after 5 minutes, or you can permanently expel someone from your meeting. Obviously, that's the last resort, but it's good to know that you are in full control with these here. Keep the questions coming in on the chat. I can see Elaine is doing a really good job at fielding the questions and answering what she can, and then we will spend some time at the end answering everyone's questions. So if you're holding your meeting, it's probably very likely that you'll be sharing some content, be it your screen or a file. So you would do that by clicking from share at the bottom. You will get different options. The first option you'll get is to share your whole screen. The next options are to share single application windows, and then more options at the bottom will be whiteboard and a file. If you share your whole screen, be careful doing this, because that means that anything you share or you click on your desktop, everyone else in your meeting is going to be able to see that, because you've not restricted it. It's going to just be your whole desktop. So what I recommend is only share the window that you have the relevant content on. So if you've got a presentation, only share PowerPoint. And that means that if an email pops up or you have something personal on your desktop and then you click on that, no one else is going to be able to see it because you've restricted what they can see to only being the PowerPoint. There's a couple of controls there which are worth knowing. If you're sharing any video content, maybe in the browser from YouTube, you'll want to optimize that for motion and video. And that just means that it'll be a better quality video for your attendees because the frames will be sent faster over the internet. Mostly though, you'll be sharing still content like PowerPoints, so by default, it's optimized for text and images. The best way to find out about all these different things and where they are is obviously by practice. So once we've finished in the session today, I'll give you some tips which you can go away and practice and start hosting your own meetings. Anything we screen share can also be annotated. Now, my disclaimer here is that if you are using the desktop app, you'll be fine to use annotations. If you have attendees joining using their browser, their Google Chrome, their Internet Explorer, that kind of thing, they may see some limitations being able to whiteboard and annotate, but in most cases on the applications, it's fine. You are again in control of who annotates. You can allow everyone in the meeting to annotate. You can restrict this to just one person, or it can just be you. Anything we annotate can also be saved, so we can save a copy. Or if we want someone else to share, that's fine, and then we can annotate on what they've been done. You have lots of options. On the left, you can see it there. I'm using my desktop, and the picture on the right is using an iPad, so it's even accessible on iPads and devices. I'll just briefly mention this. It's not enabled for the HSE at the moment, but there is an ability to do live transcription and closed captions in your meetings for anyone with hearing impairments. This is not a feature that you have today, but just to let you know, if that is a requirement, then that is available for additional purchase. Backgrounds, everyone is always asking, can we do virtual backgrounds? The answer 6 months ago was no. The answer today is yes. It's very exciting. You can upload your own pictures. that kind of thing. Luckily, I have some nice wallpaper, which I don't need a virtual background for, but otherwise, you can use these away, upload your own things. We even have some Halloween-themed ones, which you can download online this week. To do that, if you want to change your virtual background, you would go to your video button at the bottom of your screen, the little arrow next to it, and then you'll get the options to change your camera and webcam settings. Breakout sessions. So again, 6 months ago, we would have gone through a bit more of a complicated process to explain these, but now they are available inside this version of WebEx Meetings. If you're the host, you will be able to control the breakout rooms. If you're the attendee, you won't. You can see there at the top of my meeting screen, next to File, Edit, Share, I would go along to Breakout. I would click on Breakout and click Enable Breakout Sessions. So if I do this now, you're going to see a button appear at the bottom of the screen. I'm just going to click. There we go. A new button appears at the bottom of your screen called Breakout Sessions. So as the host, once that's enabled, you will have the option to click that button from the bottom. From there, your host, or as the host, you can click on Breakout Sessions and you can set these up. So in today's meeting, for example, there's 150 participants. How am I going to set them up? Maybe I'll set 10 groups of 15 and automatically WebEx can just split all those people up into designated rooms. I don't have to go in one by one, select who I want in each room. Obviously, that's a great way to do it automatically, but just be sure that you know you can also do it manually. So if you have a smaller group and you want to just choose person A, you need them in this group, person B, you need them in this group, you can also do the process manually. So again, if you're looking for breakout sessions, this is in version 40.9 onwards. So any earlier versions won't show breakout sessions. And to do it, you'll go to Breakout in your toolbar at the top, Enable Breakout Sessions, and then use the Breakout Session button at the bottom of the screen. So I'll pause here and remind everyone to keep the questions coming inside the chat. Okay, and another word on some more settings. This is really, you can find this online, this is just for your information. Remember, your audio settings are going to be next to your mute button, your video settings next to your stop video button, more options with the 3 dots, and then right by the participant list and the chat, you also might have some more options there depending on what the host has allowed to show you today, and that will be notes and polling. Polling is always a feature we get asked about. This is really good if you're doing a committee and you need to have a vote. You can use the polling feature to do that. Or perhaps you're doing a training session. You want to do a pulse test to see how everyone's finding the content, or maybe even an official test. The polling function is a really good way to enable that. Now, you can either preload the questions, write them in advance and save them down, and then pull them up in the meeting, or you can make them up as you go along. So you can either prepare or you can just go on the spot. And the 2 ways you can see the answers are either anonymous results on screen in a bar chart form, which is what you can see on the left-hand side there, or if it's imperative that you have a record of how people answered your questions, how people voted, you can also get the detailed results in a web page. You can either have them in a web page or you can also download them as an Excel file as well. So you can keep a record if you need to. So those are most of our features, and the last thing to say would be, like we start with the big green button, we finish with the big red button. If you're the host of the meeting, you can end everyone's experience by using the red button and ending the meeting. If you're an attendee, then pressing the red button will just affect you. You will leave and everyone else will be unaffected. They will remain in the meeting. You remember that I mentioned that you can have people join as guests. They don't need an account, and that still stands. Once they are disconnected from the meeting, they are taken back to the WebEx homepage or the app homepage. They are not requested for giving any more details, and WebEx will not send them anything. So they did really join as a guest, and they are fine. I think we've got time now to answer some questions. So just before we do, a quick recap on what we've done. Your main settings will be found in hse.webex.com. So sign in here to set your preferences. This is where you'll want to enable your local island number as well. Change your profile picture, that kind of thing. Great, and I'll provide this to Elaine afterwards, and you'll find resources here to help you practice and learn. If you're going to practice today, highly recommend you invite your friends, your family, your children, your dog. Use different applications, the computer, the browser, the phone. Try all the different combinations to really get you feeling comfortable with WebEx. Okay, Elaine, have there been any unanswered questions or anything that's come up consistently that you want to address first?
Thank you. That was really great. One is, if the breakout rooms, does that require everyone to have the app? Does it work through the web client?
That is a good question. I don't know off the top of my head, sorry. I would put a question mark around that because I couldn't say for sure. We'll have to find out for tomorrow's session.
Yeah. Where was the other one? Yes, subtitles. Mm-hmm. Is that something that's available to us? Subtitles or even translations for different languages?
So closed captions and transcriptions is a feature of WebEx, but it's an additional cost for a user. So I'd say if there is a need for that, maybe go up via your manager to request that, and then back to your IT team, because it's not enabled by default for everyone in the organisation at the moment.
That's what I thought. There's one question about the version, and I wanted to make sure everybody knows this, that version 40.9, the latest version of the app, is not supported on Windows 7. So if you've got a Windows 7 device, that version of the app may not work. So you're going to have to wait for when the Windows 10 device refreshed program comes around to upgrade your device for that. So there's one from Roisin. Is in a previous meeting she was unable to screen share. The share button was present, but when she pressed the button, there was no option to share applications and no option to optimize for motion and video. She's wondering why that might be the case. She hasn't had it since, but it'd be useful to help troubleshoot for future sessions.
Great. Okay. So what I'll do is share with you now what I can see as the host of the meeting. And one thing we'll need to enable when we're allowing other people to share content is go to participant and make sure that this is ticked. Anyone can share. If we untick this, you will now lose the right to be able to click share content and share something inside the meeting. And that's probably for the best if we're working with people we don't know. But if we're working with our colleagues or people we trust, then we can leave that ticked, and it's just faster for them to be able to share content. So that might have been the reason why you weren't able to share your content at that moment. Another reason why is because perhaps you weren't the presenter. So if you look now, and apologies if there's a delay because I'm sharing my screen share now live. On the participant list next to my name, you'll see a blue circle, the blue WebEx symbol. That is identifying me as the presenter. So I have all the presenting rights in this meeting. At any point, I can move that ball. So if I wanted to move it down to Agnes or Aidan, I could make them the presenter. And then they'll be able to share. So it might have been for those two reasons. Best way to avoid that is making sure that's ticked, saying anyone can share.
A question, can you hide your email address to avoid participants being able to email you back directly after the training course? So this is, I guess, for meeting requests going out in the first place from an email account. My suggestion is that, Kate, that you would set up a generic email address so that they don't have your direct email. to set up a generic email address with a WebEx account.
Yeah, I would agree there. Maybe for your department or something.
One person asking, could you show again how to schedule a meeting within the desktop app, i.e. with the Outlook productivity tools?
Yeah, of course. Let me see if my presentation wants to play ball. I'll get us back there. Okay, so if you have the desktop app and also the productivity tools, you'll be able to easily integrate these into your Outlook. When you click on your calendar to create a new meeting, new appointment, new meeting, those kind of things, on the right-hand side, the far right of the meeting window, it'll say Add WebEx or Add Personal Room. So you probably want to click Add WebEx to make that unique link and that unique password for these type of events. As soon as you click that, it's automatically going to fill in all the details of your WebEx meeting room, like you can see on the email here. That's going to automatically fill that. And all you need to do is put in the subject, write your email, maybe put the agenda in, and then you can invite people from directly inside Outlook. Great. Any questions? If anyone would like to unmute themselves and ask a question, you're welcome to. We have 5 minutes left.
Just wanted to, there's one question that keeps coming up for us in the WebEx team, and that is that people who have audio problems, so when they connect to a call and they can't hear, or nobody can hear them, or they can't hear anybody else. So the reason maybe for that is that your network connectivity hasn't been configured properly for WebEx. So what you need to do is go to, and I put the link into the chat, it's https://mediatest.webex.com. You run the test at that link and you see if that is successful. If it's successful, you should have no problems running WebEx. If part of that fails, and for some people the UDP connectivity fails, and thank you, Millie, and that is an indication that you will have audio problems. So log a call for on the National Service Desk for the National Networks team with the details of the failure and in the more detailed part of that result, and they will look after that for you. It is not a WebEx issue. It is a network connectivity issue.
Millie?
Question.
Sorry.
Are all domains accessible? All HSE domains like
yes.
South?
Yes, yes, it's
okay.
irrelevant. Yeah.
Okay.
This is purely an internet platform. It has nothing to do with your domain.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Millie, I just want to ask about hosting. Can you co-host? Can you have 2 people? And I'm sorry if I missed that earlier, if you did it.
Yeah, we didn't cover that actually. Yes, you can co-host. It's a new ability. In order to do that, I will just share my screen again. So at any point you need a co-host, and a co-host might be someone that you want to be able to administer the meeting, mute people, invite people, that kind of thing. Inside the meeting, I can right-click and then change role to co-host. So, for example, I could do that here. So it's really easy to do that inside the meeting. Yeah.
Sorry, where did you click, Millie? You clicked where?
Can you see my screen share at the moment?
Yeah.
So I right-clicked on your name on the participant list.
Oh, yeah.
And then change role.
Okay.
To co-host.
Okay. And am I correct in saying the host has to be there the morning and meeting is on? The host has to be there to start the meeting, yes?
Yes, you can set an alternative host for your meeting, which is slightly different to a co-host, and you would do that inside. Let me stop sharing here. Inside the online portal, under Preferences on the far left. you can assign an alternative host to your meetings there.
Thank
So
you.
that's someone that can start meetings on your behalf. If you want a co-host, that's obviously coordinated, like at the same time, then you would right-click someone's name and then choose co-host.
Thank you.
Sure.
But the alternate host must have an account on hse.webex.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the last thing we'll say is your first port of call should always be help.webex.com before you go and contact your local teams, because everything we have spoken about today and all the questions you have asked are able to be found on help.webex.com. There are online classes, there are pre-recorded classes that you can watch on demand, and you can find tips and how-tos here. And then if your question isn't listed, if you found something else which we don't seem to have listed, there's a forum called Ask the Community, so you can log in there and see what other end users have said about that certain problem.
Yep, I'll just reiterate that, as I always do. Please go to help.webex.com first. The webex.query mailbox is not manned on a full-time basis. I am no longer supporting WebEx as of this week. We have new support people that are there, but they're really there to answer HSE account-related queries. So you really need to go to help.webex.com first and see if you can resolve your issue there. Obviously, if you can't resolve your issue there, then webex.query@hse.ie is your next port of call. But if it's a how do I, or if it's troubleshooting, any of that kind of thing, this is an excellent resource. There's also extra training and online classes and all of that you can use from there at your own convenience. And Millie, I just want to say thank you very much. That was really great today again, and thank you so much. We will make this recorded session available on the healthservice.hse.ie WebEx information page sometime early next week.
Super. Thanks, Elaine, for organising, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Slán.
Bye.
Bye.